Well, good morning. This is the Reverend Ian Howard talking to you from the Church of St Britius in the village of Brize Norton, next to what I believe is the largest RAF base in the UK at RAF Brize Norton. And I've got, I hope, a little thought for the day here, which will give you some encouragement and some hope at this very difficult time for all of us. It's going to end with a little hymn, which I'll explain the relevance of later, and a prayer, which will be the Lord's Prayer. I've just taken my one daily walk, my one daily piece of exercise through the village of Brize Norton. I've just walked from one end to the other. This is one of the two parishes where I serve alongside the other clergy here. And we're all thinking about how we can encourage you all out there, whether you go to church or not, at this very difficult time. And my theme this morning, which is very brief, is taking up the challenge. You know, we are all faced now with a tremendous challenge. We're meant to be staying in our homes as far as possible with no more than one other person, unless it's our family. If we've got the virus, which I haven't at the moment, thank God, but if we have the virus, we're meant to be staying at home and self-isolating completely for 7 days, or if it's other members in the family as well, for 14 days. If we're vulnerable or over 70, it's meant to be now for 12 weeks. By the way, check out all these statistics, and I would just encourage you, as I can encourage myself, to find your way of getting a daily update on the news to make sure that everything you hear is absolutely accurate and the latest advice. It's very difficult to stay 2 meters apart, isn't it? That's a tremendous challenge, particularly in a family. It's very difficult just to have one outing in the day. And it's difficult when you meet friends, as I just did, as I walked through Brize Norton, to immediately take evasive action, which I did. I went to one side of the road, he went to the other, and we passed each other and talked for a few moments from the other side of the road. And I think one of the biggest challenges at the moment, and please reflect on this, I'm only trying to reflect on what I've heard on the news, is actually shopping. Shopping, because we're so grateful to all the people in the shops selling us food and the things we need, but it's very difficult for us to stay more than 2 meters apart. We've got to try and do that. Somebody reached over me in a supermarket yesterday, and I wish that person hadn't done it. We've got to try and stay apart, and we've got to be careful about what we touch. And I just realized yesterday, you know, and we don't want to hand over our money, so we want to pay by card. If we can do that at a checkout using a contactless card, that's probably the very best. If we go to the touch screen, which I was doing to try and be helpful, I suddenly realized I'm touching this screen, and with the best will in the world, who else has touched this screen? My brother-in-law said, why don't I use the end of my knuckle, and then at least when I get home I know what I need to just wipe and particularly wash. Another thought, of course, is wearing plastic gloves or whatever. And another thing to do with shopping, which we've all got to be mindful of, is that if we do end up delivering food to a friend, we've got to make sure that for some reason that package or box wasn't touched by somebody else with a virus, which we now have touched and we've left on their doorstep, and both the container and the package, maybe the carrier bag, has something on the handle. So we've just got to be, it's absolutely right that we do go out and help other people buy food and so on, but we've just got to be careful what we touch and what we let them touch, because we don't want to take all the measures of staying far away and distant and leaving it on the doorstep, but then actually having left something in the bag or on the handle which could infect them. So I pass that on as my reflection from yesterday. And another thing I feel challenged by was Fergal. I don't remember his name now, but the health person on the BBC. I think it's Fergal Walsh or anyway. He said that even if we take all these measures now, it will take at least 2 weeks for the peak to go down. But he showed how when they did that in China, after 2 weeks, the peak was reached and it suddenly started going down in an amazing way. So we've got to face that challenge and believe and trust that if we take measures now, it is going to still keep going up for at least 2 weeks, but then it'll start, I believe, coming down. Now, the Bible reading for today, for those of us in the Christian church, is extraordinary because it's all about a young lady who faced a challenge. It's now 9 months from Christmas, and you might say, what on earth is the relevance of that? Well, it's because this is the day in the Christian liturgical year when we remember that a messenger came from God to tell a young Jewish girl that she was going to have a baby, a very, very, very special baby who was going to rescue everyone in a very special way. And just think of the challenge of that, and it's described at the beginning of Matthew's and Luke's Gospels, if you want to turn to that at some point. The challenge was that she was going to be rejected by her fiancé. She was going to be rejected by the community. She was going to have to travel a long distance during her pregnancy. All sorts of things, a tremendous challenge. And I don't believe she was automatically forced to take on this role. She was given this proposition, in the best sense, by the angel to say, will you be the mother of this amazing baby? The father will be God himself, but will you be the mother? And she said in the Old English language, be it unto me, Lord, according to your word, which doesn't communicate very well with us, but in modern languages, yes, I hear what you're saying, and I'm prepared to take it on. Yes, I accept that challenge, go ahead. And she did take that challenge. And of course, the Christian story, which focuses on Christmas and Easter, is all about a God who comes into a world which isn't perfect. It's a world full of good and evil, a world that God's coming in to rescue, because according to the Bible, there is some sort of spiritual virus that's going around, also equally unseen, which people are falling the victim to, and the world is falling the victim to, and God is coming into the world to save the world. That's why he's going to die on the cross on Good Friday, and that's why he's going to rise from the dead on Easter Day, not to condemn us, not to convict us, not to make us feel guilty, quite the opposite, but to rescue us from this hidden spiritual virus which is affecting all our lives and blighting the world. So we all need to reflect a little bit on that. And the challenge she has is a challenge that we face today in a completely different way. So I just encourage you, and I encourage myself, to accept the challenge that we face. Now, I understand that the Pope, supported by the Archbishop of Canterbury and probably the leaders of all churches, I need to have the very latest information, have encouraged us to say the Lord's Prayer at 11 o'clock every morning. And by the way, it's interesting, the Lord's Prayer takes just over 20 seconds. So if you want to do something, instead of singing Happy Birthday twice, you could say the Lord's Prayer when you wash your hands, which is what I'm trying to do now. And we're also encouraged to read Psalm 23. And Psalm 23 is the Lord's my shepherd. I don't think most of us know it actually in any particular translation, but we do know it as that very famous hymn, the Lord's my shepherd. Now, owing to copyright, I can't sing a modern version of that because I don't want to break copyright. I want to do it in the right way. So I'm going to, first of all, sing the hymn, the Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. I might start in the wrong key for you. I might even start in the wrong key for myself. And I might go slightly out of tune if you're a musician with perfect pitch. I apologize, but the spirit of it is, this is a wonderful hymn to encourage us all, and it's Psalm 23. So here goes, warts and all, I'm going to try and sing it to you. And this is the famous words by Jesse Seymour Irvine, which were written in the 19th century, and the very famous tune called Crimond. I hope that it doesn't get distorted as I sing it. You'll need to find it in one of your hymn books. You should do it. The Lord's my shepherd, with a tune of Crimond. The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. He makes me down to lie in pastures green. He leadeth me the quiet waters by. My soul he doth restore again, and me to walk doth make within the paths of righteousness, e'en for his own name's sake. Yea, though I walk in death's dark vale, yet will I fear no ill, for thou art with me, and thy rod and staff me comfort still. table thou hast furnished in presence of my foes. My head thou dost with oil anoint, and my cup overflows. Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow me, and in God's house forevermore my dwelling place shall be. Those are wonderful words, the words of Psalm 23. And I encourage you to find a Bible, anyone you like, or go online and look at the words of Psalm 23. A wonderful picture of how God is not condemning us or trying to get us. He's trying to help us, support us, and look after us like a shepherd looks after his sheep. But we're in a battle against evil, and God's on our side, and he wants to help us and rescue us. I'm going to end with the Lord's Prayer. Please say it in any version you know in any language. I'm going to go for the one that people probably know best in Old English, but please take any version you want. And remember, I think it's the Pope and the Archbishop of Canterbury, and probably now the leaders of all other churches who know about it, are encouraging us to say this today at 11 o'clock, and then every day at 11, or any other time, I'm sure. So Jesus taught us this prayer, and remember it goes like this. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. In the hope that this will help somebody somewhere, in some way, I'm going to put it on Facebook. I'm also going to put it particularly on our two church pages, which are Friends of Brize Norton and St John's Church, Carterton. And I'm also going to put it on YouTube. As I say, so many people doing so many things in different ways. I thank God for every effort by everybody, everywhere, whether it's in parish councils, town councils, local coronavirus assistance groups or whatever. It's wonderful what everybody's doing. Let's continue to work together and to support one another. Take care, God bless, and stay safe.